Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, discussing the town up or down since 2015 and after the late heartbreak witnessed by my colleague here and myself last weekend at Oxford. Ipswich's playoff hopes are hanging like a thread from an Argyle sweater this weekend. The town fans will make their pilgrimage to a sunny Portman Road to face a very informed Plymouth, with the simple objective of needing a win. I'm Craig Fimbo, and you're tuned in to the live pre-match show in partnership, as ever, with our good friends at the Greyhound pub in Ipswich. As I say, this is the Plymouth home edition, and joining me to give you an insight is Joe Fairs. Joseph, how are you? Are you enjoying the sunshine?
It's been lovely, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The only problem is I've spent most of it in my car driving up and down the country, so... Well, at least I'd say 5 litre of fuel.
Trucker's tan on your arm, on your right arm?
No, sort of when you're on the motorway, it's sort of difficult to sit there with your arm out the window without it blowing off. So
brilliant. Well, as I say, it's live. We're doing this live. So if you are watching live on a Friday night while questioning your life choices, why not fire us a question or a comment in the appropriate section, however you're watching us at the moment, and we'll endeavour to get round to them and discuss anything suitable that we don't cover during our chat. There's a few bits and pieces going on this week, so first and foremost, we'll just head off into some news, I think. So in terms of news, well, breaking news this afternoon was that season ticket information has been released for next season. The headline is that if you're renewing, that the prices are frozen, basically. The window opens, I think, on Monday and is open for about 4 weeks or so to get your renewals in, or pester the club about your particular idiosyncratic circumstances that you need resolved. But what we'll do, we'll go into a bit more detail on the flagship once everyone's had a chance to have a look and digest, excuse me, what's going on. But as I say, I think it's been pretty well positively received, I think, Joe, isn't it, so far, in terms of, the price of everything else is going through the roof. It's just nice to have something that's stable and remaining the same.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone expected the prices to come down at all. So you were working from there. So obviously the next best thing from not coming down is staying the same. And I say, one of my friends, he takes his children in the block he's in. Previously, he could only get an under 19 ticket, and it's £100, and now there's an under 12 ticket available. So there are some idiosyncratic methods that some people will save a bit of money on. So that's good. Like I say, no one paying more than they did last year, other than those sort of going up age categories. And yeah, you can't ask for any more than from the club than that, can you?
No, exactly. And just, for everyone who's got a direct debit, it runs over, but it's probably just worth double checking your circumstances and just double checking with the club. If you give them a ring, they're normally pretty good about responding and giving you the right answers or pointing in the right direction. They're not going to be turning away anyone's cash, I don't think, for next season. But yeah, it's hopefully good news. And the drone footage and the tugging at your heartstrings videos been released this afternoon as well, so it's all good, and it's sort of hopefully not writing this season off just yet, but whetting our appetite for
just quickly season. I haven't looked. Is there a championship rate in there? If we get promoted, do the prices go up? I haven't seen anything. I haven't looked.
I think if you renew, and people please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think if you renew, you're guaranteed that price. But if you're in like the next band along that haven't currently got a season ticket, there is a very slight increase if we happen to find ourselves in the championship next season. We'll see. What else have we got? Oh, the Football League department at Sky Sports have decided that people have had enough of watching Steve Bruce's West Brom every weekend, and decided to move our Good Friday match to Easter Saturday, I suppose we'll call it, shall we? to lunchtime on Easter Saturday against Rotherham away, and as a result, our Easter Monday match is now moved to the Tuesday after Easter Monday evening. So those who are making their annual pilgrimage to the home of the Chuckle Brothers will have to delay it by so many hours.
21.
20 hours. Yeah, 21 hours. So just bear that in mind if people have arranged travel. It's a bit late, isn't it, Joe? This one, it's a bit late.
Yeah, well, there was some ruling effectively from Sky and the Football League that there shouldn't be any games moved within 5 weeks of the games being played, but apparently that rule doesn't count after March. So once it gets to March, they can move any games they want as late on as they want. And I've spoken to people it's really kind of mess up their plans. People who were previously going to the game that can't go to the game. For me personally, it hasn't. So I can't sort of sit here and moan too much from my perspective. But yeah, it's very late, and I think it's actually our first Sky game of the season, isn't it? So it shows how we've been thought of all year. Even Colchester were on before us last week.
And I think if you look at the fixtures that they've moved now, that Saturday is now basically a Super Saturday League One.
Yeah, Wigan have moved with it as well, haven't they? So both us and Wigan.
Milton Keynes and Sheffield Wednesday's the evening match.
Yeah.
So there's us at lunchtime, Wigan at 5, and Milton Keynes, Sheffield Wednesday at 7, 7:45.
It's good to see League One get some coverage, but it's just, like I say, it's frustrating. They could have moved these games. Even if it was 2 weeks ago, it'd have helpful. You knew who was top of the league 2 weeks ago. It hasn't changed up there much, has it? Well, it hasn't changed up there since about Christmas. No. Everyone keeps winning,
as we know, to our own detriment. Just a little point here from Gary, who's reminding everyone that typo alert that the 2020, our current season tickets, basically, everyone has a couple of free tickets that they can use, and obviously they've now only got 3 or 4 home matches left to the end of the season to use them. So use them or lose them, basically. Yeah, thanks for that, Gary. Thanks for pointing that out. In terms of other bits and pieces, obviously, Kieran Dyer. Let's move on to Kieran Dyer, because that will take us on to another topic, probably, in terms of the academy. The news broke earlier the week that he was resigning. It seemed to have come as a bit of a bolt out of the blue in terms of the response from Ashton and Kieran McKenna's comments today. He obviously then did an interview with our friend Stat, following that up, and gave his reasons behind it. So, Joe, what are your thoughts about him resigning, and then about the reasons he gave behind it?
Sad is my first instinct. It's sad to lose him from the club, and when you see the sort of messages of support from the players that have worked under his tutelage, from sort of James Norwood all the way down to sort of first year scholars and your Tawanda Chirueras and players like that, they can't speak highly enough about him as a coach and as a man and as a person. And everyone you speak to, you don't hear anyone having a bad word about it. So it's a real shame on that level to lose him, but I think it's just a brave move from him. He sort of said in the interview with Stat, he's had a job here for life, really, and he wanted to get out and try and do something different. And it did seem the appointment of John McGreal to the caretaker manager role really hurt him, and you can understand why, because John McGreal has got experience at Colchester, and obviously was appointed as Swindon manager in the summer before it all went wrong there. But ultimately, he was brought in to assist Kieran Dyer, and then 2 days later, Kieran Dyer's been asked to assist him, and it's a bit like, well, that does seem like, I'm sure everyone in the Fred has worked in workplaces where you see these things happen, and it's a bit like, it really does knock the stuffing out of you sometimes, especially if you're the one involved in it. If you've seen it happen to other people where things just happen and all of a sudden you feel like, what am I doing here? Because they obviously don't have the same respect for me as
trust
I have for them, respect, trust, and I think there was a case there.
It's strange as well, wasn't it, that McGreal was only ever going to be coming in for 2 games anyway, so it's not as if we couldn't have entrusted Kieran Dyer to be in charge of the first team for 2 or 3 matches, while we sorted out what was going on in the background. It just seems
it seems sort of needless, but I do think there's an element, and I know it's sort of this isn't a criticism or a good thing or a bad thing, but it is a thing that I think John McGreal is now one of Mark Ashton's men, as opposed to Kieran Dyer isn't, and Mark Ashton and Rene Gilmartin were obviously close on the time at Bristol City where they worked together previously. Rene Gilmartin was John McGreal's assistant at Swindon in the summer. Rene Gilmartin comes in with John McGreal here, and so they're obviously part of that. And it's not a so it's not criticism, but it is a thing. Mark Ashton has surrounded himself with a lot of people that he's worked with previously at his previous clubs, and it's not a criticism. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing, really, isn't it? And Kieran is probably the odd man out in that, isn't it? When you look at all the senior football staff, you've got Brian Klug in there, obviously as well, but he's at an age probably where he's not retiring, but he is taking less of a role than what he has done previously.
He's not looking to build a career, really.
No, and I think Kieran probably needs. There's no real pathway for him to be the first team manager here, is there? No. And ultimately, coaching the under-23s in a Category 2 academy, which is what we are, is not particularly high profile. You're not coaching the under-23s in the City Football Group for Man City or at Chelsea, where you all of a sudden you're becoming a big name from it. You're at Ipswich Town in the Category 2 academy playing Sheffield United and Cardiff and Swansea and Barnsley. You're not going to get noticed, and I think good for him to get out. Shame he couldn't finish the season, but hopefully his operation comes soon and he can move on and everyone else can move on. But I think, like I say, it raises questions about the academy. I think Kieran McKenna's tried to address them today in his press conference, talking about how he has watched a lot of the 23s and sort of read between the lines. He doesn't think they're quite ready for what he's looking for. But I think I do have trust in McKenna to bring through players, because ultimately when you look at the sort of squad that Paul Cook inherited last year, he said the squad's too big, I need to make the squad smaller. Come the end of the transfer window, the squad was no smaller than what he inherited. It was too big a squad to manage. McKenna's came in and said the squad's too big. After his first transfer window, he's trimmed about 5 senior players out of it. So on Saturday at Oxford, Elkin Baggett's on the bench. Cameron Humphreys is doing a full warm-up as a 19th man who would have been there in case Sam Morsey wasn't fit. You roll back the clock a few weeks, and that's Toto Enciala sitting on the bench, not Elkin Baggett. It's Scott Fraser or Raheem Harper as a 19th man, not Cameron Humphreys. So I think, so I think McKenna is well, as with anything he's done since he's been here, his actions are matching his words, where that hasn't always been the case. I'm sure Mark Ashton will be asked about the academy at the Fans Forum next week. I'm sure he'll bat that question away with a record, and we won't really get anything out of him, which is understandable. His job is to probably give away as little as he can on it. But I don't see. There's a comment there from Lee about the elephant in the room about being the talk of the academy, and I don't really understand where this talk has come from about closing the academy. I think it's just a few people talking on Twitter about it. I just don't see any way that it goes with what Game Changer have done, what they've shown, what Mark Ashton has shown about the community and how important it is. And like when you compare us to Brentford, we're a totally different club in a totally different situation. And they're also in a position where they need to sort of go back to it because of Brexit. They can't carry on with their model of trying to bring in young European players. But when you're in West London and you've got Chelsea, you've got
teams
Fulham,
on your doorstep,
you've got Arsenal, you've got Tottenham, you've got West Ham, you've got all these Category 1 academies, not just Category 1, Category 1 plus academies, really. Yeah. You're not talking a Norwich academy or a Leeds academy or teams where they've only just gone to that. You're talking about the very, very top academy. So I pick at them having players and get them all nicked off them when they're young and having to basically run a second-rate academy because they can't keep the boys is very different to where we are. Yeah, we will lose a Ben Knight and we'll lose a Marcello Florence when they are the absolute grade 1. Like Simon Milton said in the interview we did the other day, Ben Knight was probably the best young player in the country when Man City signed him. Marcello Flores is rated as one of the best prospects in the world at the moment. if you read some lists, and I think he's played for Mexico's international team already. So it's you're going to lose players like that, but we can't afford to give up what is the community of it. And for all the talk, I saw a comment from Jack Lancaster's dad on Twitter earlier today, and he said, look, we had all these academy players on the team last year. We've got rid of them. We've signed 20 or 21 championship players, League One players, and we've got one more point at this stage of the season than what we had last year.
Yeah, with one common denominator across both. Yeah. In terms of academy and having a manager, the manager we've got at the moment, was brought up in the academy structure. He was academy manager at various age groups, wasn't he? So of all the people we could have in charge from a management perspective, you probably couldn't want a better placed historically, with his track record behind him of actually having a positive thoughts about the academy structure.
And also, when you look at Bristol City, I know, and like I say, the majority of our footballing staff have come across from Bristol City, and their fans have been happy to see the back of Mark Ashton and happy to see the back of Luke Wareham, and you sort of think about it, and I don't think people really know hugely what they're talking about when we look at it from the outside. Yeah, maybe they weren't great, but ultimately, I look at Bristol City as a club that's gone nothing but forwards over the last 10 years when they're all there. But the one person that they were annoyed about losing was Gary Probert, who was the academy manager. He's come across here. He's doing a similar role here with a wider remit. You look at the Bristol City Academy, Alex Scott's coming through, playing a lot in the first team. Antoine Semenyo, they're probably both worth 15 million quid between the two of them. And you look at, is it Joe Bryan came through the academy and was sold for a lot of money, and like I say, Bristol City has they're a category two academy. They've had a good academy. They've brought players through. They've sold players on for good money. They've got players in their team earning sort of worth good money. So I'm not too fearful of the future of academy. I don't think it's a priority, and I think it probably will need to be prioritised a little bit more. And I think that will come. And you just need to hope that we're doing enough to keep it at a good enough level before it moves on. But I'm not worried about the academy, and I follow it as close as anyone does.
They still need, as you say, they still need to keep it relatively attractive prospect to prospective kids and parents, don't they? To say that it's still worthwhile bringing your child to Ipswich, but by the same token, you've got to weigh that up against the guys in charge who need to get out of this bloody division as soon as possible. Hence why they're throwing money at first team players, which is therefore restricting the progress for probably a majority of academy players, apart from those who are the very best, who will still find a way into the first team if they're good enough, won't they?
Yeah, I don't always agree with that. If they're good enough, they'll make it, because I think sometimes you put so many barriers in place that no one can be good enough. And when you look at this season, when you sign 19 first team ready players, sign another couple in January, that there is no pathway there at the moment. And so you look at someone like Tyrese Simpson at the moment. I know he's someone that's been spoken about a fair bit, but if Tyrese Simpson put in the last three performances Joe Pigott had put in for us, it would be, oh, he's nowhere near ready, send him back to the academy for 6 months. But because we've spent a lot of money, or are spending a lot of money on Joe Pigott, they get chance after chance. And so it is, there does have to be a right environment for them to flourish in. But with what McKenna's done with the squad in January, he's cleared out the Deadwood, he's cleared out John Nolan, he's cleared out Toto Enciala, Scott Fraser's gone, sort of Miles Kenlock out the door, Thomas Holy. There's a lot of senior bodies that went, and all these people would have been blockers to players. So we'll see where we are come the end of the August transfer window. But I trust that McKenna isn't going to go too mad with signing too many players, because he's confident enough in himself to work with a decent sized squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what FPL Tractors is here, that's sort of the way I'm seeing it, is that we need to get out this division as soon as possible, and then we'll consolidate, see where we're at, and look to build that sort of structure up maybe in the background. Once, hopefully, fingers crossed, we eventually manage to get out the division. Just a quick one. I'm just going to go back to Matt, who was asking about I presume, Matt, this was about the vouchers and the codes, because everyone's got a code, haven't they, on their ticket website account. You have to ring up the ticket office, mate. I tweeted them the other day, and they said you can't do it online. Basically, you need to ring them up, and obviously you'll sort it out from there. Right, moving on to the ladies team, ITFC women having acquitted themselves well on the telly last week. For those who couldn't get a ticket, it's back to league action this week with Plymouth visiting the Gold Star on Sunday, and it's similar to what happened in October. The women's team was the day after the men's team, wasn't it? And it was 5-0 to Ipswich last time we played them down there. Plymouth are 9th in the league, but they've won the last 4. And obviously now the cup run is over, the ladies need to get their 3 points this weekend to get back into league form. Obviously, with the perennial title challengers Southampton, and that's 2 o'clock kickoff down in what will probably be a sunny Felixstowe.
I don't think it's
I'd
supposed to be
imagine.
very nice on Sunday.
Oh, is it not? I'm just looking at the Tendring Peninsula, mate. It's always sunny. One final piece of news: the mental health charity Talk Club are launching a partnership with the Community Trust next week to help support the mental fitness of men in the local area. Talk Club is a charity. It provides a talking and listening community for men that aims to get on the right side of mental ill health by providing safe spaces for men to share how they're feeling without judgment. It revolves around the simple question, how are you out of 10? Basically to stop people just saying, yes, I'm fine, I think is the idea. I say it's not counselling or therapy, it's just a community of men, and they're just to see an impact, positive impact. They've seen in the clubs they already work in. I think there are 56 clubs across the UK. Over 2,000 men are involved in the community. And this first event is taking place on Tuesday, I believe it's Tuesday the 29th. There has been a tweet come out on the community Twitter page. The contact is Joe Thompson, and to register or find out more, go to wetalkclub.com. We'll put stuff. We'll put the links and bits and pieces on our socials. Yeah, say if you want to give those guys a look up, then by all means do. Right, we'd better, having done all our news and bits and pieces, move on to Plymouth. Now, if I can just find our bumper, as they call it. Here we go. Slick, Fims, slick. Right, Plymouth at home. This weekend, we welcome Plymouth to Portman Road for what is Paul Mariner Day. And there's a few bits and pieces going on at the club. There's a Q&A session in the fan zone. I think it's a ticket-only event. And I would assume that those tickets, there's a couple of hundred tickets, and I'm assuming they've already gone. There's a Q&A with, I think Brian Hamilton is comparing it, and it's got Walkie there and Russell Osman. Darren Bent's in the fan zone from 1:30, doing some signatures and bits and pieces. So if you want to meet Darren Bent, another famous Ipswich Town centre forward, then he'll be in the fan zone, say, from about 1:30. In the club shop, there's Paul Mariner themed merchandise with a proportion of all the takings going towards the brain tumour charity at the request of Paul's family. Blue Action have got a display in the North Stand before the match, so get to your seats early for when the guys come out the tunnel for that. Minutes applause before kickoff, etc., etc. And obviously, from our perspective, we've had Mark Donaldson on a couple of times. Rich spoke to him in advance of Paul Mariner's book coming out. And obviously, Joe, Dave, and Rich spoke to Mark again as part of the book club to go through that. So if you haven't already purchased a copy or haven't got round to reading your copy, Joe will testify it's a cracking read. So in terms of tomorrow's match, there's it looks like another 20,000 plus attendance. Upwards of 22,000 tickets, I think, have been sold. 1,200 making the trek up from Plymouth, which should be another good atmosphere. And if the sun's shining, it always feels a little bit better, doesn't it? Joe, do we want to use Seb's stat pack to go through their season so far? I know we pretty much know where they are in terms of current form. But
I just like to go into the weekend in a sort of happy mood, positive, looking ahead, and then this is on Seb's stat pack, but I also know that Plymouth have won their last 6 games without conceding. And I think, do I really want to read too much more into the stat pack after seeing that? Because it's going to be a bloody tough game, isn't it? They were doing well. They had Ryan Lowe in charge, who'd done a brilliant job at Bury previously. He'd gone down there. and they were flying. And I think when everyone saw, because there was sort of 4 or 5 teams going off fast in the race, so to speak, I thought, well, they're not all going to stay there. A couple of those are going to drop back. Wickham might do. And I think everyone else said Plymouth will be the other one, especially once Ryan Lowe left. But Stephen Schumacher, his assistant, has come in and they haven't let up at all.
No, well, Schumacher's got them in pole position in the form table, hasn't he, as well, Joe, I suppose. Yeah, so in terms of their season so far, they're 4th in League One on 74 points. So they are 5 places and 13 points better off.
They're gone, aren't they?
Yeah. They played 39, won 22, lost 9. So yeah, and as you say, Joe, in terms of the form table, they've won the last 6 on the bounce, conceding no goals. Although only one of those 6 were away. They've had 5 of those were home matches. They've won 8 of their last 10.
Yeah, they've got a good away record though, with sort of 32 points from 19 games. Won 4 of their last 5 away from home as well. So whilst they have had a sort of a nice run at home, it is they are just a good side, aren't they? That
yeah, they are. Well, they're 4th.
Very fluid side, aren't they? Very fluid football inside there.
Yeah,
at the back. Connor Grant left wing back, where we saw him as a central midfielder, and he's a lovely left foot. Maybe not a natural defender, but he lands on the ball in very nice positions to make things happen.
Yeah. Well, as you say, if they're 4th coming into the tail end of March, then they're going to be towards the top end of the home and away record tables, aren't they, really? So I'm only just holding out onto a little bit of hope that of those, they won 4 of the last 5 away games, but they were Crewe, Gillingham, Doncaster. It was 3 of those. So that's how I'm holding on to holding on to hope with that. As you say, Schumacher, he was only appointed 2 or 3 weeks before McKenna, so early December. But as you say, they haven't really missed a beat since he took over. 2 points a game they've been picking up since he took over. That in itself,
they've got a tough running to come as well, haven't they? Because that was one of the things I thought. Well, Plymouth might drop away because they've got such a tough running to come. And you look, they've still got to play us, Oxford, Wickham, Sunderland, Wigan, MK Dons. They've probably got the toughest running out of anyone. But their form in the last 10 games has made that probably. They probably only need to win
immaterial.
2 games. If they win 2 games from here, they've got 80 points. They're going to make the playoffs, aren't they? You're not going to miss out with 80.
Yeah, exactly. And I say, as I was saying about when he took over, and they've gained 2 points, pretty much 2 points since he joined. And if you look at if you go onto TWTD, you can go onto the table section and put in date range league tables. So from the point that Kieran McKenna joined through to now, from the point Schumacher took over Plymouth through to now, and and despite the run that we've been on, we're still only about 4th or 5th in that league, and Plymouth are 4th or 5th in that league, and the teams above us are MK Dons and Wigan and Rotherham. That's why, despite us having played so well and in the main got decent results, we're just not making any impression on the teams above us because they're all picking up 2 points a game, 2.1 points a game, and picking up more points a game than we are, unfortunately. So last time around, down at Plymouth, we beat them. Sorry, they beat us 2-1. We went into the lead. George Edmondson scored, gave it large to the home crowd, and then Luke Jeffcott and Connor Grant, as you say, scored. That's, if you cast your mind back, people, that's when Hayden Coulson appeared and played right wing ahead of Luke Wolfenden at right back, and we had Matt Penny daydreaming at left back that match. That's the match that Paul Cook came out and gave him a bit of a coating, didn't he?
And then didn't see him again after that, did he?
No. Head to head, Ipswich 22 wins, Plymouth 12, 15 draws, and as you say, Joe, they're running after Ipswich away. It's Oxford at home, Burton away, Wickham away, Sunderland home, Wigan away, MK Dons at home. But then again, as you say, if they're that far ahead, they're just going to consolidate their position in the playoffs by virtue of winning a couple of those matches, aren't they?
Well, they're probably looking at the top 2 now, aren't they, rather than whether they can make the top 6. Yeah.
Last time out, they won 2-0 at Cheltenham. 17 shots, 6 on target. So, as you say, what to expect? You say about them being a nice football team, pretty silky football team. 66 goals, 1.7 goals a game. Slightly higher away from home, an average of 1.8. 14 shots a game. 70% of the shots come from open play. 53% possession. Concede a goal a game. Basically, 15 clean sheets. 79% of their passes are short. As you say, they're a short passing team. Connor Grant, left wing back. And they really attacked us actually down their left, down our right. Probably by virtue of us having a left back playing at right wing and a centre half playing at right back might have had something to do with that. But they play 3-5-2, as you say. They've done that 33 times this season. But they've got a couple of important players missing due to international duty. Kamara, who Morsey was, it was at the time where Morsey was having to pick a fight with individual players on the opposition in each match, and that he's the guy that he decided he was going to take on in the away match. I remember him having a running battle with Kamara throughout the game. He's on international duty. And Joe, quiz question: who's he on international duty with?
Oh God, Mali.
Close. Guinea-Bissau.
Not bad.
And Luke Jeffcott is away in international duty with Sierra Leone.
Under 21s. But I don't think Jeffcott's started the last few games anyway, has he? I think Ennis has come into the team a bit more, and Hardy and whoever seems to play seems to score.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So we'll go through Seb's probable lineup that he's given us here. Michael Cooper, the goalkeeper's been ever present. He came through the youth setup, and interestingly, I saw on Twitter he's got the most accurate short passes of all the goalkeepers in League One. So
they don't go long.
That backs up your point there. Yeah, exactly. Centre halves, we know one very well, James Wilson, player of the season, last year's player of the season for Ipswich, 35 appearances. Macaulay Gillespie, 33 appearances. James Bolton plays in the middle of the back three. He's come in to replace the injured Dan Scarr. Good name for an injured player. Right wing back Joe Edwards, 37 appearances. Connor Grant, left wing back, 34 appearances. So you can see here that these guys here have all played 36 matches, haven't they? You know, they very rarely change their formation, or the personnel. They've got Stephen Sessignon on loan from Fulham, apparently. More of a bench option though, rather than a starter. Central midfielders. They've got Ryan Broom on loan from Peterborough, 37 appearances. Jordan Houghton, 35 appearances. And Danny Mayer, who we were linked with, wouldn't he? And then he moved from Bury with Ryan Lowe, didn't he? Followed him that summer, 2 summers ago, wasn't it? And he was predominantly a winger for Bury, but he's currently sort of playing on the left of their centre midfield three and links well with Connor Grant. And then, as you say, Joe, up front, Niall Ennis, 18 appearances, 4 goals, and Ryan Hardy, 34 appearances and 16 goals. So yes, that's how we think they're going to line up. We're pretty sure it'll be a 3-5-2 with the personnel mainly that have been playing all the time each week for them. In terms of predictions, if anyone wants to stick a prediction in the comments, please do. I've got a feeling it's going to be another draw, Joe. We don't seem to beat the teams above us, do we?
No, but we got to at some point, don't we? I thought it was going to be
August.
last Saturday. Yeah, I think we'll win. I think we'll win at home. I think we're going to keep our season alive. So it's just, I say it's going to be an incredibly tough game, isn't it? They're a very well drilled, well organised side. They play free at the back like we do. So there's going to be an element of cancel each other out. But you have to hope that Wes Burns is the one that cancels Connor Grant out, and he pushes on and goes from there, because that's going to be a very interesting battle there. Isn't it? We're very strong down that right hand side. They're very strong down their left hand side. We're very strong defensively and going forwards, where they're more stronger going forwards, because Connor Grant is not going to want Wes Burns running out all the game, is he?
No. And as you say about being in form, we played Milton Keynes when they were in form. We played Oxford, and they were the team in form, weren't they? And arguably we should have had, well, maybe 6 points, but certainly 4 points out of those 2 games, shouldn't we?
Mm.
So as you say, there's no real need to.
How do you think we'll line up then, Craig?
Well, that's going to be my question. One of my questions to you, actually, mate. I would imagine it'll be the same 11 that finished. I'm trying to think who finished last week.
Well, Luco came on for Selena, didn't he? Right.
Oh
at the
yeah,
end.
mate. No, Selena will probably start. But in terms of Morsey and Bon will play, won't they? I'd have thought maybe the same formation.
Yeah, I guess the question mark is over Connor Chaplin, isn't it? Do you put a second striker, but then we haven't really got one that's in any sort of form, or do you maybe bring a Luco in and have him there? But like I say, we know Christian Walton's going to play. These are all, unless there's some injuries we've not been told about, we know that it's going to be Danashi and Wolfie and Cameron Burgess at the back. We know Wes Burns is going to be right. We know Dominic Thompson's going to be on the left, and then we know Sam Morsey's going to start. And then I guess who's alongside him? I'd go with Tariq Backinson. I'd imagine it will be him, but they seem the most balanced and in form.
He did it right, didn't he, last week? Last week, Oxford, he really grew into the game, didn't he? First half, he was a little bit iffy, but second half, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Second half, I thought he was playing, years above his age, if you know what I mean. He's just calm on the ball. He was picking the right passes. He was turning on the ball and driving us up the pitch into space. Things like that. I thought he played really well.
And it was he obviously did the press one day this week. I don't know what day, but in the EADT, it was noted in there that there was a transfer fee agreed for the end of the season. Whether a proposed transfer fee agreed. So I'd sign him. I think he's been a really good sign, and he's come in. We've both of us have mentioned it on here previously that he's had to play with so many different partners across his starts. He's had to play both roles in it. I think if he plays the next 6 games with Sam Morsey, if we've got a agreed fee in there, I think that will look a snip.
Yeah. So he looks like the sort of player that McKenna can work with and improve, doesn't he, as well? And he seems to be enjoying himself here as well and sort of thriving under that sort of coaching rather than having Nigel Pearson barking at him.
And then there's going to be Selena in front of them, isn't it? I think he's now going to start every game. He seems to be purring now at this part of the season. Selena there. And then, like I said, Chaplin probably, and then Bon.
I
think Bon showed, he looked back at it last week, but it's difficult, isn't it? We just don't really have anyone up front, really, do we? At the moment,
no, sadly,
no one's in any form, are they, at all?
No, but as you say, last week at least Bon did come on and made a difference and put himself about and did pretty much exactly what Piggott hadn't been doing for the previous 55 minutes.
And to be fair to Bon as well, he did score a goal against Portsmouth in the last minute of the previous game as well, which was disallowed for a wrong offside flag. So he's effectively, I know it doesn't count, but he's effectively got a goal and put a good 45 minutes in, or 40 minutes in. And I think who would bet against him scoring 5 goals in the last 7 games and helping us to 5 or 6 wins? I certainly wouldn't. I think he'd love to go out on an absolute high, wouldn't he? And we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah. Well, as Skip says here, he's going for a 2-0 Bon
brace. That'd be nice.
Would be, wouldn't it? In terms of Charlie's question here, then, do you reckon that Selena's going to be back next season? In terms of, well, he seems like he wants to be. It sounds like McKenna wouldn't mind him, but at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to finance, isn't it?
Yeah, well, McKenna has said that he's had private conversations with him where he's indicated that he wants to be back here next season. The club are talking about it. Mark has been in the papers. Selena said he wants to stay, and I think that we're gonna try and get him, aren't we? There's going to be a real concerted effort to get him, and it's just a case of who else comes in for him. Really, I don't think he's done enough to be seen as a top championship player. So I think that we can sort of probably beat anyone in England for him. But I know when we signed him previously, there was interest from the Middle East, and like I say, I know it's a better standard in England, but when you can earn probably £50,000 a week to go and play in Qatar or something, it's going to be very difficult to turn down for him. But hopefully he'll stay. I'd love to see him stay. I think he's been really good recently, and I know there's been a bit of criticism at the start of the season. He wasn't quite doing enough, but when you see he had that COVID, he had that myocarditis, a heart condition, people weren't expecting to play until January this season, and he's come up with a lot of big moments for us, and he really seems to fit this McKenna team.
Yeah, and what I noticed is when which one was it? It was Morecambe, when we were up at Morecambe, and it was that dog of a pitch, though the player on it was bobbling everywhere, and people were having to take 2 or 3 touches just to get it under control. And he came on for the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes with Jackson, and the ball just stuck to him, and he was dribbling on this rutted pitch that people have been struggling to pass the ball from A to B, and he was getting the ball and it was just stuck to his foot. You could just tell he was a very, very technically proficient footballer. Quick one from Sally, our friend Sally in New York, my New York correspondent, who I'll be tapping up if I ever get to bloody well go over there. Good evening to you, or good morning. No, good afternoon, probably.
Got there in the end.
Yeah, it's one of the 3, wasn't it? So yes, I think we've done our predictions for tomorrow. They're looking at everyone's predictions in terms of score lines. Lee's gone for a 1-1, whereas Charlie, Neil, Gary are all going for a 2-1. As I say, Skip went for a 2-0. So yeah, there's plenty of positivity around, and our home form is pretty exceptional, isn't it?
Well, we've only
McKenna.
conceded 1 goal, haven't we?
Yeah, we don't score a hatful though, do we? By the same token, but you don't need to if you're not conceding any, I suppose. Just a few more bits and pieces that we need to go over. Obviously, the Greyhound, as you can see on the screen, are as ever our pre-match sponsors. Pre-match, post-match, midweek, Adnams, Pub Grub. Am I allowed to say that? Food.
Chili cheeseburger.
Yeah. I'm treasurer of our local cricket club, and I'm trying to persuade the bar manager to have mosaic on the bar. That's going to be financially very lucrative, I would say. So yeah, if you want your Adams or your Ghost Ship or your dry hopped award-winning lager, as it was this week, then pop to the Greyhound pre-match, post-match, midweek. Also, this week we did a Simon Milton interview. One Simon Milton interview sliced into 2 in collaboration with Phil from TWTD. Both parts of that are available via the normal methods, YouTube, podcast, etc. As you expect, Rich and Phil did a great job, and as you expected, they didn't need to do an awful lot of prodding because Miltz is a very good talker, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a really good interview, wasn't it? Because the first half, part 1 is all about the 91-92, the forgotten promotion, as you like to talk about there. Steve Whitten gets a couple of mentions as well in there. And the second half is about sort of Milt's post-footballing career at the club, what he did at the club all those years and along those lines. And as you'd expect, it's sort of a real detailed, really good interview with Miltz, who's always good value, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And so there aren't that many people that have that sort of dual career, as you say, that to have the playing career and then the on pitch and off pitch career with Ipswich. And we've been lucky to have obviously George Burley along similar lines, had a on the pitch and off the pitch career. Kieran
Dyer we've had, haven't we, on that side?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and it's nice to just get that view from both perspectives, really. As you say, it's a fascinating insight into the widely acclaimed and acknowledged best season in Ipswich Town's history. It's just a missed opportunity, really, wasn't it? I think everyone from the outside looking in, when he was here under Marcus Evans, just thought, well, why is this guy not doing the job that Simon Clegg was doing the job that Soppy Bollocks was doing? Being the CEO rather than whipping up sponsors for the academy side of things. Missed opportunity, wasn't it? So in terms of bits and pieces that Miltz is doing, actually, we must do this, that he's teamed up with the Community Trust with his Future Stars charity that he does over in Africa. And they're doing another bike ride, a tour of Suffolk cycle ride, which will raise funds for both the Community Trust and also for the Future Stars charity. There is a Just Giving page for the Suffolk Tour cycle ride. If you go into Just Giving and search for either Simon Milton or ITFC, it'll come up. You'll see it. There are also spaces available to actually go and cycle alongside. I think Russell Osman's doing it. Terry Butcher's doing it. Milton's obviously doing it. Kieran Dyer is now doing it as well. So
Matt Holland.
So there's an opportunity to cycle around Suffolk and Norfolk and have a night over one of these. I think it's an all-inclusive resort, isn't it, up in Norfolk, that they're having a night over as well. So yes, all the details will be on Miltz's pages, and also I think there's a news article on the club website. Just going to go through a few more comments, because there's a bit of a conversation going on about Selena and maybe purchasing him and getting him on permanent for next season. FPL here is saying that his concern is he's not dominating games, and he probably should be. And that was my thoughts whenever you watch the Quest highlights on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning, and you watch Sheffield Wednesday play, and you see Barry Bannon basically, if he's not creating every single one of Sheffield Wednesday's goals, he's scoring the other goals, isn't he? And you see him there acting like a proper Championship player playing in League One. So
I think someone then put the analytics out about sort of who are the most elite League One midfielders, attacking midfielders, and it was Barry Bannon and Bersant Selena, and they compared their numbers, and they were very similar. If anything, Selena's were probably slightly better than Barry Bannon's.
Yeah, and Barry and Bannon's are probably being highlighted more because by virtue of the fact that his strikers are putting them away, whereas our strikers aren't potentially.
Yeah.
Sully's going for a 3-0 if we mark up on our corners. Well, it'd be nice to score one, wouldn't it?
It looks like from his profile picture, he might struggle against Terry Butcher in the air, though.
Or maybe get Terry Butcher to help us mark up at corners, eh? That was an interesting thing that Kieran Dyer was talking to Stat about, wasn't it? Is that Terry Butcher's influence in general, but also the fact that you've got a guy here who's played in 1, 2, 3 World Cups for England as centre half, and he's trotting up to Playford Road to teach the kids how to defend. You can't get much better than that, can you? Neil, set piece goal tomorrow. No, Neil, there won't
be a direct free kick scored, maybe.
One like Gareth Bale's last night. Yeah, Christ Almighty, he just took a deep breath and stroked into the top corner, didn't he? Fantastic. So Skip says here, one good thing about Bond's drop off in form is that his price tag may well come down. He certainly won't be as much as he was in November time, I wouldn't have thought. Be interesting to see, actually, because I can't imagine that QPR will want to keep him, will they? They want him regardless.
No, they seem to have dropped away from the playoffs, haven't they? At the moment, they look like they might struggle to finish in the top 6 after such a good start to the season. But I don't know. It's a strange one because what would he cost now? And you sort of want, when you've got a loan player, you sort of want them to either do enough, not do too much that they come out of your league, and not do too little that they're not worth signing. But Bond's sort of done so much. He went out of our league, and now he's sort of gone so far back. He's almost in the would you bother signing him camp, which sounds mad. Where if you'd have said here on the middle of October, you'll be sitting here at the end of March saying, "Oh, should we sign Macaulay Bond?" I think someone would have called you mental, but he has just, is it 1 goal in 20 games now, isn't it? And if he scores another 5 goals, he ends up with 17 league goals. It looks a good return, but it's been such an up and down season for him. And I say, if he can play like he did against Oxford at Saturday for the rest of the season, then I'd be hoping that we can sign him. But if he can't score any goals between now and then I think you're going to sort of wish him well and probably look to use your finances elsewhere, because he's not going to be a cheap player to sign, is it?
No, that's right. And I'll move on to this in a second. And we've been having discussions via other methods with some other people who've joined us, and saying that that's what sort of striker does Kieran McKenna want? Does he want a rough and tumble centre forward, or does he want more of a athletic gazelle type striker who's going to run the channels and close defenders down for 90 minutes rather than rough them up? We don't really know, do we, as yet? In terms of the flagship on Sunday, I think I'm back actually, and Ben will be doing a damn sight better job of hosting than I am currently. I'm back with Dave, I believe it is, on Sunday. And as I was saying there about onward discussions that we've been having, we've got a oh god, I'm gonna get this wrong. It's called a leveler.
Yes, it's basically a leveler run the service, but it's through Telegram, isn't it? And basically, you sign up with Leveler to join what is effectively for people that don't
community,
use
isn't it?
Telegram. It's a community. It's like a WhatsApp group, effectively, where
Yeah.
we're all quite active in there. There's a few groups on there. We've had some good discussions this week with a number of the guys who are in this chat with us now, and it's just hopefully a good place to speak ITFC. I've enjoyed it this week, and I've used Twitter a lot less over the sort of time since I've got it, because I feel like I've got good enough ITFC chat in there rather than needing to go on Twitter and dealing with what all that entails sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. It sort of takes the emotion out of Twitter, and it's a bit of just a grown-up discussion about Ipswich and on all things Ipswich and Champman, not Football Manager, Champman, and Princess Di dying in a car crash while people are playing Champman, and everything else and in between. So yeah, no, it's good. Rich will obviously put the details out on our socials and bits and pieces like that. However, if you go to, bear with me here, Mikey did this last weekend, Leveler, which is leverl.com/communities/blue-monday-podcast-ITFC. You can stick your email address in there, and yeah,
HTTPS
yes, /
// wubbiya dot
or wub as they say in Australia, but we haven't got any Aussies on with us, I don't think. Yeah, there are a few on there. I say Skips on there, Neil, Adam,
FPL Tractor,
Paul, Luke. Yeah, FPL Tractors there. Chris Rand's there. Bits popped up as well. So yeah, there's a fair few people on there, and I say it's just a good little grown up discussion about all things ITFC, whether from academy through to the women's team, through to the men's team, through to general.
we'll see how the first match day is on it tomorrow. And
Yeah,
I won't be putting anything on it because I don't get any signal at all in Portman Road. Once it hits about 2:00, I can't read or send a message on any format. The odd ones pop through, but I can't get anything out. So
yeah,
we'll
you
see.
get signal up to a kickoff, and then you'll get signal. I get signal from 3:00 till 3:45, and then nothing between 3:45 and 4, and then I've got signal again in the afternoon. So
Oh, you're lucky I don't get anything. That's why I was
yeah.
getting moaned at for not sending a photo to the Blue Monday WhatsApp group last week.
Oh yeah, poor old Richard. They're all planned. Had a pithy little slogan as well, and Joe let us down in terms of his photo. I reckon he was eating pastries in the
I was doing that as well, but I can multitask.
Sweet. Just a quick one from we're talking strikers. Bond, Piggott, Norwood, all too similar. Jackson is different. See, that's the thing, isn't it? We don't know the type of striker that, given a transfer window and a relatively blank checkbook, the sort of striker that McKenna wants. And so that's one of the things we were sort of discussing in one of our chats is, does he want another? Let's assume that Caden Jackson gets a contract by virtue of how well he's done over the last half a dozen matches or so, albeit caveated by the fact that he's an explosive striker currently with a hamstring injury. Would he want another one or two like that, rather than having 3 or 4 with different traits? I don't know. What do you reckon, Joe?
The fact he brought Jackson in so quickly and utilised him quite a lot makes you think he wants that physicality up front, doesn't he? That pace, stretching teams, pressing, leading from the front. And so I think we're going to get a couple in that mould. Jackson is one, and maybe another one. I wouldn't be surprised if Bond, Piggott, and Norwood, if none of them are here next year, and we try and get sort of total other options in from there. But I just think we're going to be looking for those athletic players now, in those roles. I think we've got enough good footballers around them that you just need someone there that can stretch a team, open up the games, and allow everyone else to play. And Lee puts their quality over quantity next transfer window, and I'm sure that will be the case.
Yeah, I just wonder, as has been proven over the last however many matches, is that you're not necessarily reliant on your striker to score you 15, 16 goals a season, because you're hoping that Chaplin and Selena or their equivalents will be chipping in with 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe your right wing back will score another dozen goals
Yeah.
next season. You don't know. Perfect. Okay. Just a couple more here. FPL Tractors saying, yeah, about Leveler, that Twitter without the aggression so far. Yeah, we haven't lost a game yet, though, FPL Tractor. You wait until we lose and Joe and Dave kick off. As Neil rightly points out, we've got a blanket ban on Norwich City fans, so they're not allowed in. I don't know if there's anything else we need to say here at the moment, mate. We've pretty much covered the news for the week. We've covered Plymouth for the week. We've given our predictions. People have given their predictions. We've given our plugs in terms of what's happening over the weekend. I think we're all good, aren't we?
I think we're there. I think we're
Cool.
ready to go into Plymouth for that tough game tomorrow, but hopefully when we're doing the preview, or when Rich and Seb are back doing a proper preview as opposed to me and Craig just struggling along, that they'll be able to talk about going into the Cambridge game. Yep, we need to get another win because we've built on last week's victory and we can push on from there. So I'd say the season's still very much alive if we win tomorrow.
Yeah.
6 wins from 7 sounds a lot. 5 wins from 6 sounds a lot easier than 6 wins from 7, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And so once we've got this out of the way, then we've got, as you say, we've got Cambridge, Shrewsbury away. My ticket came through for that this week, so do that one, and then the Easter weekend. If we just want to have still something riding on those Easter weekend games, don't we? Because there'll be 2 fantastic games if we can arrive on Sky. We always do well on Sky on a Saturday lunchtime with something to play for. Then it just adds a little bit more spice and just keeps the juices flowing for a little bit longer. We haven't got to worry about paying for next season's season ticket because there's nothing to worry about, nothing concerning us this season. So perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you for your time. Thank you to everyone that's joined us. Thank you for all your comments and your input. Thanks to all the guys that have joined us on Leveler this week. It's been really appreciated. We'll keep that going for as long as required. And so hopefully if we you see me or Joe at the weekend, or you see Rich in the Greyhound, then give us a shout, come and say hello. Failing that, we'll speak to you on Sunday.